Okay, this tutorial looks at engineers, bridging engineers and bridging counters. It's very specific because both fronts, like on the Golan front, you've got this anti-tank ditch that needs to be bridged, and obviously on the Suez Canal front, you've got the Suez Canal that needs to be bridged. Now there are several different types of bridging unit there, but they really boil down to two different groups. The bridging engineer, which is actually a physical counter, a battalion. We look at an example of one of these, not this one here. That represents the emplacing and emplaced bridge built by a bridging engineer. And if you look at the actual bridging engineer here, is that counter there. Okay. Now, the oddball for these is the Arab high command bridging points, which can only be used on the Suez map because they're coloured for Egyptian. Now these are totally different. They don't have an engineering unit to emplace them, but you've got to spend an operational point to actually place one. Okay. Now there's a bit of a debate where you place these, but there's an example in the rule book where there's one placed where you see the shaded bit. The shaded bit is on the Egyptian side, but it shows quite clearly that you can place a bridge when the near side of the bank is prohibited for you. Okay. In terms of bridges, these ones that go across the canal they're nowhere near as sturdy as the bridges that go across the anti-tank ditch at the start. So there's a bit of a limitation that only one unit can cross it while it's in placing, and that's one battalion's worth of troops. But for these types of bridges, it can't be an armoured battalion. Armoured battalions can't cross till the second day. But if you're using a bridge, an engineering unit to create a bridge across the anti-tank disc, you can send, it's still only one battalion that can go across the first turn, but you can't actually, one battalion can go across, but you can actually send armour at the same time. Right, once a unit's put into its emplacing position, when you get to the bridging administration thing, you can flip it over and it becomes in place. As soon as it becomes in place, up to 4 battalions can cross over the bridge physically every turn, but you can also get an extra battalion if you just put it onto the bridge. So it's not actually crossing the canal. The problem if it's on a bridge and it gets attacked, it's got no zone of control, and I believe it's half defence. Okay, so you're taking a bit of a risk leaving a unit actually on the emplaced bridge marker itself. Bridging units normally represent a battalion in strength in terms of stacking, but as soon as they become emplaced, they don't have any stacking value. Once they're in place, they can't be picked up and removed. The only way they can be removed is actually if they're physically destroyed. Now, when you're placing across the canal using these HQ bridging things, you can actually bridge into a hex that is adjacent to an enemy unit, even though that unit doesn't have a zone of control. Okay, if that was an engineering unit, you can't actually place adjacent to that unit. Only the high command bridging units can do that. The Israelis are much more restricted in what units they've got available. They've got a certain number of very specific bridging units that they can use. to actually specifically to cross the Suez Canal. There's only certain ones you can use. There are other obstacles that require bridging on the Golan map, but they're bridged in the same way as you would using a bridging engineer going across this anti-tank ditch. Yeah, there are a whole series of markers available for depicting the current status of a bridge. You've got these crossing markers here, which indicate how many points of capacity have been used this term across the bridge. You've also got this bridge full unit here that says, yeah, there's actually a unit on the bridge itself. Okay, once the capacity is reached, which is 4 battalions worth, no more can actually cross over. Just trying to think, is there anything else? No, I'll probably do it for bridges. As you can see, we're already starting the whole thing about bridging and getting all the units prepared to launch their attack. We've actually changed the Syrian opening offensive to have 3 infantry divisions and 1 armoured division, and we've also got all the bridges and units ready to cross on the Suez Canal.